request you to stay on with us. In fact, there is a backing of this particular statement that has been made by the Larsen and Toubro chairperson. Now, L&T has issued another statement backing the chairman's comments on the 90-hour work week. They have gone on to say that extraordinary outcomes require extraordinary efforts. Pallavi, so they are sticking with the statement that they have made.
Yes, no apology coming in from there, not being defensive at all. But after all, it's a question of the CMD. But this is something which not many in the corporate sector are willing to accept. We've seen, for example, how Narayan Murthy was strongly criticized when he had first come out with the idea. You know, as India's productivity increases, even the government talks about. I mean, I cover the finance ministry, Griha, and over there often we are told that how corporate sector are encouraged to ensure that the mental and physical health of the employees are paramount. You know, there are facilities which need to be given at work. Simple things, if I can give offhand examples of eating space, some breaks, some exchange programs, because, you know, it's only when you're happy to go to work that your productivity increases, especially the factories, for example, where you have those blue-collar workers as well. Even over there, this entire idea of giving them a weekend break, giving a week off, taking holidays, legitimate ones, and that is something which is appreciated, which is accepted, and therefore the CMD's comment has certainly not gone down well, even within his peer group.
Right. And Pallavi, more and more voices, in fact, joining the ranks of Deepika Padukone in condemning the statements that have been made by L&T chairperson. In fact, this time around, this is Jwala Gutta now, in fact, speaking against the statement by L&T chairman for quote-unquote misogynistic, disappointing and scary comments that have been made, she says. So there's the statement by Jwala Gutta now, Pallavi.
Absolutely. As I said, I mean, sports persons, people who are journalists like us, all of us, I mean, we do understand the value of taking a time off. And every company has a specific rule as far as your holidays are concerned, your weekends off are concerned, or your weekly offs are concerned. And this is considered to be the legitimate right of any employee. I mean, they are very stringent and, you know, complete tweaking of the labor laws as well in our country. And, you know, the government goes overboard in trying to ensure that every corporate sector, private sector does understand that people also need to be respected. Employees need to be given that space. There has to be a balance between work and personal life, and also a strong demarcation between the two. I don't think this comment or the L&T chairperson is certainly going to be taken down well, even as far as the government is concerned. But having said that, when he faces criticism from his own sector, from his own peers, really, will he do a rethink? Will he come out with some kind of an explanation? Mind you, the kind of words he's used, I mean,
Yes.
Why would you want to look at your wife or husband on a Sunday? That is being seen as extremely sexist and misogynist.
Absolutely. And Pallavi, you mentioned about labor laws. That is the one particular reason, because there is no stringent implementation of these labor laws in the country. And that's why you have chairpersons like the L&T chairperson getting away with the comments that he's just made.
Well, you know, they are specific. If you go through the labor laws of a country, there are specific working hours which have been prescribed, both in white and blue collar jobs. It also mentions the fact that if anyone is made to work overtime, it will be due as a voluntary act. And second, the option of paying them for overtime is also something which has to be looked upon by the corporate sector. Mum's the word when it came in from the CMD when he suggested working on a Sunday. Did he then talk about, for example, overtime? And then if you're called in on your off day, if there's no emergency, are you going to be paid extra for that? There is no clarity on that. But having said that, what he has said also defies the entire concept and ideas enshrined in the Labour Act laws as well.
So do you think there is a lot of loophole when it is about those very labor laws, Pallavi, considering, employers nonetheless go ahead, flout it in the name of, the employees really willingly going ahead and doing it, voluntarily willingly going ahead and doing it. And this in India, when we are seeing various other countries talk about a 3-day work week or a 4-day work week for that matter.
You know, actually, Priya, unfortunately, in the country, a large section of the people in the blue-collar jobs particularly are employed in the non-organized sector. They're the informal sector. And, you know, over there is no structured rules as to your working hours and your do's and don'ts when weekly offs. I still remember a couple of years back, there was a bill which was also introduced in the government, which talked about regularization of working hours as far as domestic workers or house helps are concerned. I mean, you know, many of these agencies talked about giving a mandatory weekly off to them, especially if you have a 24/7 house help at home. even of those domestic maids coming in, for example.
Yes.
That had also led to a lot of uproar, but that was something which was recognized and accepted by the government at that point of time. And I think this is a part of the larger narrative that doesn't every human being have a right to decide when they want to take that off. And if they really do want to come in on their off day, it really has to be voluntary rather than mandatory.
Absolutely, Pallavi. Thank you so much for that. In fact, let's now take a look at this raging debate on what has been said on how the work needs to be a 70+ hour work week. The latest statement that has been made by Larsen and Toubro chairperson. And this is very, very close on the heels of what Narayan Murthy had said in the past. So let's take a look at the backers of the 70+ hour work week in debate. And here is the backer number one. He is the one, Narayan Murthy, who is in fact fronting this entire statement that was made by him, and that in fact led to a lot of furor back then on social media and otherwise as well. So here's what he said, and he advocated for a 70-hour work week. So that is the Infosys co-founder for you. Then Elon Musk, Tesla and SpaceX CEO, he recommends a 80 to 100-hour work week. So he goes ahead further from what Narayan Murthy in fact recommended. Next up, we also have many other faces like Jwala Gutta. He's an AI startup CEO, and he advocates for an 84-hour work week. So the debate really, even as it rages on, you have the advocates of more and more people coming into the workforce, working relentlessly and tirelessly for hours on end, really happens and continues. This is Grant Cardone. He is an entrepreneur. He advocates for a 95-hour work week. So that list also is ever growing. So there are backers of the statement that have been made by the Larsen and Toubro chairperson at the moment. Something that was said by Narayan Murthy in the past, and something that has been reiterated this time again by the L&T CMD.